It's Malik Holmes Jr., and from my ethnic PowerPoint presentation, I'm going to be discussing Alaska Natives. I want to start things off first by discussing the learning objectives, or things that I hope you will be able to take away from this PowerPoint. First, I'm going to distinguish between culture, health, ethnicity, race, and illness, provide background information on Alaska Natives, and discuss the demographics of Alaska. I'm going to also discuss overall health of Alaska Natives and provide you with a case scenario of cultural clashes between Alaska Natives and the healthcare industry, and finish off by providing an appropriate method for healthcare managers to respond to patients or employees of this group. So first, some important terms to keep in mind would be culture, which is the way of life of a particular group of people. It's like their ordinary behavior and habits, attitudes, and religious beliefs. Another important term, health. Health is pretty much the state of a complete physical, mental, and social well-being, while also, as the World Health Organization adds, not merely the absence of disease or infirmity. Two more also important terms to keep in mind is ethnicity and race, which a majority of the time seem to get mixed up or seem to be defined in a number of varying ways. For the case of my presentation, I chose to define ethnicity as a group or individuals' wide variety of learned behaviors used in their natural and social environment to survive. And race, I define it as a person's self-identification with one or more social groups. And these, as you can see at the end of the definitions, I've included the source of where I've gotten it from, just because I wanted to add some diversity. So yeah. So we're going to start off background information on Alaska Natives. There are 7 distinct ethnic groups that make up the Alaska Native population. And what makes it unique is that each of them have their own backstory and, their way of life, the way they did things, the way they carried things out. It's all unique. So here are the list of the 7 unique ethnic groups: the Inupiat, the Yupik, the Aleut, the Eyak, the Tlingit, the Haida, and the Tsimshian. So we're going to move on to demographics. The country of origin. The country of origin of Alaska Natives is North America, and furthermore, just like the name states, an Alaska Native is considered to be an indigenous person of Alaska. So for those who may not know, indigenous means originating or originating in, and characteristic of a particular region or country. So a more common example that most people may know is a Native American, someone native to America. So continuing on with demographics, we have the geographic distribution in the USA. So in a 2018 July census conducted by the United States Census Bureau, approximately 113,565 Alaska Natives lived alone, and this is just alone, within the state of Alaska, which is their homeland pretty much. Next, we're going to move on to languages. There are a total of 20 different Alaska Native languages that can be heard or spoken throughout several regions of Alaska. So I've included in here a map pretty much showing where you would find those languages, like what regions. So I found that as a pretty neat little thing to add to the presentation, because it just, for those who want to see a visual representation or an image, there we go. Moving on, the 20 Alaska Native languages include these listed. They're very, very different and very diverse. Just for time's sake, and also because I know I'm not going to try to speak them out, but I'm just going to give you the chance to sit there and look at them yourself. Take a look. So next, I'm going to move on to education attainment. Alaska Natives attain their education through the use of rural public school systems in Alaska, and according to a 2016 Education Week article, the graduation rate for Alaska Natives was roughly 60%, with the other 40% dropping out for several reasons. So we're going to continue on to add on to this previous education attainment PowerPoint slide. Some of the causes leading to Alaska Natives dropping out. For number one, the highest reasoning being high teacher turnover rates in rural settings where Alaska Natives do attend school. So like the concept says, no teacher in the classroom, there's no education available for the student. And the second, a reason that hits closer to home for the Alaska Natives is the lack of curriculum focused on the Alaska Native culture or pedagogy. Alaska Natives feel that their culture or heritage is not reflected appropriately in some cases or at all in public schools. Poverty status. The poverty rate among Alaska Natives is almost triple that of the U.S. as a whole, or national average. One of the main reasons is due to a relatively high unemployment rate among Alaska Natives. Next, religious composition. The religious composition of Alaska Natives is carried out through spiritual connections. They feel that with doing so, they can communicate to various spirits and souls from the afterlife. So what we have here is the cultural clash or short case scenario. For mine, it's titled The Cleansing. And after making a few friends during his first week at a new job, Ignacio decides to invite several friends he made in the office over for a dinner party. Prior to their arrival, Ignacio performed his monthly sage cleansing by burning a bundle of sage inside of his household. When Ignacio's new friends arrive, they immediately recognize the unordinary smell in his household and make assumptions that Ignacio lives unsanitary. The following Monday, Ignacio receives ugly looks of disgust from his employees and hears rumors that he is a dirty person who doesn't keep up with his hygiene, when in reality, Ignacio had just performed a traditional routine passed down by his ancestors to help rid the house of any negative spirits or energy. After explaining the root cause of the smell to the office, the employees are dumbfounded to have believed such an ugly rumor. So the key issue in this cultural class scenario is there's a lack of cultural competence or competence instilled in the employees that work in the same office with Ignacio, and because of that, they do not understand what had really been the cause of the smell. The implication from this short case scenario can be, although the smell was something different that the employees had never smelled before, it's important to have factual evidence answers before jumping to conclusions. Furthermore, with the initiation of these rumors in the workplace, this will do nothing but create a toxic or potentially create a toxic work environment for Ignacio, which can then lead to a reduction in his work performance. So what should the employees do? The employees should first and foremost apologize for their ugly attitude directed towards Ignacio, just because something like that shouldn't be accepted in the workplace at all, period. And they should also aim to gain further insight regarding Ignacio's cultures or traditions, and also just take the time to participate in cultural competence or competence training, just so they can be reassured or be given a further explanation as to, hey, you guys did this isn't cool. Take the time to, instead of making assumptions, take the time to learn from that person's background. See what are some similarities, what are some differences, and maybe one day you and that person can see eye to eye and you won't see things in the way that these employees seen Ignacio. So we're going to move on to health and illness. Illness, we're going to provide a definition of illness and then the utilization of health services. Illness is defined as an unhealthy condition of body or mind, and this is coming straight from the Merriam-Webster dictionary. And as for the utilization of health services, Alaska Natives utilize specialized medical centers that provide exclusive care to Alaska Natives. Examples of medical centers include the Alaska Native Medical Center, or ANMC, and the Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium, ANTHC. Next, insurance coverage. And these are just statistics coming from a 2017 case or 2017 study. It was noted that 51.3% of Alaska Natives have private health insurance, 43.2% have public health insurance, and 14.9% are uninsured. Requirements of a healthcare professional. How do they respond? When working with Alaska Native employees, healthcare professionals must strive to consistently be understanding and respectful to Alaska Natives' beliefs. Understand that the healthcare professional and employee may not see eye to eye on all decisions, and if that happens, it's cool. It should be fine. They should be able to work around that and keep moving forward. As for in the case of working with Alaska Native patients, healthcare professionals must be understanding of the Alaska Native customs, values, and language, and minimize the presence of implicit biases in the workplace setting, which means the healthcare professional shouldn't have this preconceived notion or preconceived stereotype directed against that Alaska Native just because they're not, once again, seeing eye to eye on certain perspectives of life, or they come from different backgrounds or cultures. Next, the health statuses. So for life expectancy, the average life expectancy for an Alaska Native is 77.5 years. For women, it was recorded to be 80.3 years, and for men, 74.7 years. In addition to that, the leading causes of death in Alaska Natives were found to be heart disease, cancer, stroke, and diabetes. Next, health traditions. The health traditions I found to be very unique with the Alaska Natives. Although many Alaska Natives seek care at medical centers, there are still some who rely on traditional healing methods used by their ancestors. These methods can include visiting tribal doctors or traditional healers, or engaging in various acts such as healing hands, which is like a massage regimen, some type of special massage regimen that they have set up to, help them feel better. Song and dance, traditional plant medicine, and cleansing or the burning of sage, which we mentioned earlier in one of our PowerPoint slides previously with Ignacio. And if you look to the left, you'll see an image of Rita Blumenstein, and she's notably known as Alaska's first New Age certified tribal doctor. Here's my sources cited page, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and once again, thank you for watching.